Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Hayden alongside my analyst for today, Dylan Simmons. And I want to wish everyone really quick a happy St. Patrick's Day here on this wonderful Friday afternoon. Today we'll be at ATCU for the first time in a while, as we'll have the Middle Tennessee State University Blue Raiders playing off against the Northern Alabama Lions. So, Dylan, it's been a while since we've been here, but it feels good to be back home, isn't it?
Man, it's awesome to be back in the Cathedral of Tennis once again here in Murfreesboro, live for everybody watching at home. And as you mentioned, Middle Tennessee versus North Alabama, big matchup, a rematch from a match that these two teams had just last year. A lot of history between these two teams. They've met 7 total times, but Middle Tennessee's had the upper hand. They're 7-0 all-time in the series. Certainly something to watch for today to see if Middle Tennessee can extend that record and also improve upon the win they got earlier today.
Absolutely. Got a huge win against the Dartmouth Green, as we saw with a 6-1 victory there, in the first half of the doubleheader. But again, right back to the action here against the Northern Alabama Lions. And, like you've been saying, 7-0 against the Lions from North Alabama. But, I know North Alabama, they see all these histories, and they're looking to change it. They're looking to play spoiler here against the Blue Raiders. They see a big time to spoil some ranked opponents, especially ranked 21st Blue Raider team here, and they're looking to cause some havoc here at ATC. But Blue Raiders defended their ground in the morning time, so they're trying to defend their ground as well in the afternoon time. But to defend their ground, what is the Blue Raider team going to have to do here to be successful against the Lions?
Well, the biggest thing that we're going to be looking to see is, especially can the younger players step up and deliver. I think we're going to see some players who maybe don't get as much opportunities, maybe like a Shu Matsuoka, a Baron Soiler, get an opportunity today against this North Alabama roster to really strut their stuff and show what they are capable of. I'm looking for them to have big days. I think that'll be a big difference. It's really going to be a learning experience for Middle Tennessee, and they're going to look to really complete and round out their roster. I'm expecting a really good quality performance from all sides, and I'm really interested to see who steps up to the bigger roles. Are we going to see like an Oscar Bostrom-Polson at 1 or 2 or something of that nature? Maybe we'll see somebody like an Andre Horak at 2 or 3. And there's a lot up in the air right now, and I think that is what makes it all the more exciting.
Most definitely. We've seen with these doubleheaders, Coach Jimmy really likes to change it around for these second halves. Because a lot of these guys, when you play in that first half, it's exhausting. And so
yes.
This is where your depth will really pay off for a team. And MTSU has been really fortunate to have a really good, deep team from, even the older guys like a Stein, Sump, Pablo
Right.
Model, Francisco Rocha. But then on the flip side, you have the younger guys. Shu Matsuoka and Andre Horak have been holding it down over there on court 3 in their doubles matches, but also in their singles matches being very dominant there as well. So it's a very, very good sign for Blue Raider fans and also for the Blue Raiders team itself of how deep this team can be and to have a nice solid foundation even when their older guys are done with their time playing here at the Cathedral, still having a nice foundation for the younger guys here.
Right, you are. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that foundation plays out today. For North Alabama, though, as you mentioned earlier, they're looking to play spoiler. They come in 4-5. They are coming off a loss to the Bellarmine Knights just a week ago. They're going to be looking to push that to the side. And we do got to remember, they came in with 3 wins before that, so there's a lot on the line for them. And I'm interested to see what they have in store against this Middle Tennessee team, especially looking for some revenge. And I'm sure we're going to hear that shortly from North Alabama. I can't wait to get their perspective.
Absolutely. North Alabama, again, trying to, show what they're made of. You can never put past an opponent. You always got to be making sure you take into account everything for your opponent, because if you don't, we see March Madness is going on, and we see March Madness has been a lot of upsets.
Yeah, ask Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona is, they got upset pretty badly here, but, we're looking for a fun match here, and the man behind that for the head coach of the Northern Alabama Lions is Aitor Perez here. Head coach, how are you doing today?
Very good, very excited. Thank you.
Alrighty, coach. So I want to start off by saying, how was y'all's travels? Was the travel easy? Coming up to Middle Tennessee. Anything, for you and your team just coming up here to the Cathedral.
The drive was easy. We're not too far. I think it's one of the good things about UNA. We're close to a lot of places, so the drive is smooth.
Awesome. So your first year coaching here for the North Alabama Lions, how's your experience been, coaching this team and just seeing, the growth that your team has, throughout the season?
So it's been a lot of fun. We're in a rebuilding process. My first year, the conference is tough, the ASUN, so we have a bit of catching up to do. But I see the team is getting better as the season is going. So and today is probably for sure the toughest match that we're facing this year, and it's going to be good to see what the guys do today. Yeah.
Like to hear that, Coach. And I got to ask about this. You guys have been pretty good at home this year, but you've struggled on the road so far. Haven't had exactly the record you want to. I believe 1-4, if I'm not mistaken, over on the road. So how do you translate that today, and especially coming off a 3-game win streak that you guys had going into Bellarmine last week? How do you translate that same attitude into today against a tough opponent like Middle Tennessee?
Well, I just told the guys that we don't have anything to lose today, that it's to gain experience. And yeah, we've been, our courts, I think they favored our style. They're kind of slow playing. And Bellarmine was a tough scenario because it was indoor courts, very fast and not a lot of backspace. So that was tough. But honestly, I'm not talking to the team much about if we go play at home or we play outside. We're just taking one match at a time. And today the guys seem excited. And as I said before, it's definitely a challenge. But we're ready and we'll see what happens.
Alrighty, Coach. One last question here to wrap it up, the interview for you. You know, you and Coach Jimmy, you know, we're talking about it a little bit before pregame. You know, how is it, you know, Coach Jimmy, we hear from all opposing coaches just having how much respect for him. You know, how has your connection with Coach Jimmy been, you know, building as a first-year coach and, you know, first time up here for yourself at Middle Tennessee? He's kind of making you feel, you know, welcome as even as the opponent, just feeling that as a welcome opponent, you know, paying respect to you and your team.
Yeah, I just met Jimmy today, but I've heard a lot of good things. I think definitely you can see first thing when you come here is that the environment is probably a bit different to the other teams that we've played. So it speaks well of the program that he's running. You know, first time that I'm doing this kind of things before a match. He told me that there's some ball boys. So definitely somebody to look up to. He's doing great here in Middle Tennessee, and sometimes I talk to the other coaching staff and the players that's kind of the schools that we should be looking at, what they are doing, and yeah, it's exciting that we have this opportunity to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Coach. Well, wishing you a great game, wishing you and your team a fun competitive game here at the ATC. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that was the head coach of the Northern Alabama Lions, Coach Raparez there. You know, it's great to see, you know, Coach Jimmy and his squad, you know, making his opponents feel welcome.
Yes.
You know, the ATC can be very a hard place to play in, but, you know, when it comes down to it, these teams show massive respect of people, and it makes it all opponents wanting to come play here because they know it's going to be a competitive game, but also it's going to be fun and fair and, you know, have good sportsmanships from both sides. And one man that's on that Coach Jimmy staff is Coach Callie. Coach Callie's, you know, a staple here for the MTN crew here. Coach Callie, how are you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Doing all right, Coach Callie. So, Coach Callie, you know, what did you see in that first match against Dartmouth that you just, you know, wanted to keep it improving on here and seeing more of here in the second match against Northern Alabama?
Yeah, no, it was a good match. You know, Dartmouth is a good team, and the guys played well. We won a lot of matches in 2 sets. Marcel lost 1 set. He just had a slow start, but everyone else took care of business. Baran had a tough tiebreakers, but you know, it was a good. It was good for his experience. So I'm happy with the performance.
I'd have to say you are, Coach. And I got to ask this about North Alabama. Overall, you guys have had a lot of success against the Lions in these past few years. 7-0 all-time, and of course, Coach Jimmy is 3-0 against the Lions. So I got to ask, what is the attitude going into this game, and how do you keep yourselves from not taking it too lightly and staying focused against this kind of opponent that you've had a lot of success against, and keep pushing forward?
Yeah, the attitude is that, you know, we're trying to give each guy a couple of things to focus, things that we work on in practice, and we want them to apply those in real matches. So, you know, it's each guy's gonna have his own things to focus on. So everyone's gonna be ready and good to go.
Like to hear it.
Alrighty, thank you so much for your time, Coach Callie. And one quick question here to wrap it up.
Yeah.
You know, with March Madness coming around, I don't know if you and the team are making brackets down there, but you guys have any perfect brackets still? Or
we cannot make brackets. NCAA rules.
We
cannot.
That's right. They're athletes.
We cannot bet. So we don't do it.
Maybe next time around when you guys are all done for.
Exactly.
Alrighty, thank you so much for your time, Coach.
See you guys.
Assistant Coach Callie there. I always forget those rules that athletes can participate
NCAA rules
in these wonderful times of March Madness. Okay, so before we head out onto our quick break here, was there anything that you want to look forward to in this matchup? Seeing this, any key points that we want to hit on before we hit into these doubles matches.
Yes, I'm interested to see how Middle Tennessee approaches this match and what's going to be the mentality going in. A lot of times teams come out of these tough matchups, especially against a tough Ivy League opponent like Dartmouth, and maybe they falter early on. It's going to be interesting to see if Middle Tennessee pursues a victory with that same kind of motivation that they had in the last game. I think that's always one of the more interesting things to see. It's definitely going to be a wild matchup and a fun one for sure here at the Cathedral of Tennis.
A fun matchup indeed here at the Cathedral of Tennis on this St. Patty's Day night here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I am your host, once again, Matt Hayden, alongside my analyst, Dylan Simmons. You are watching Blue Raider Tennis here on the MTN Sports YouTube channel and CUSA TV. We'll be right back with our doubles matches right after this quick.
Mental health affects us all, whether you finish first or last.
Whether you win or lose.
The stigma around these issues causes those around us to suffer in silence.
Mental health is nothing to be ashamed of.
You are not alone.
You are not alone. As a student athlete,
As a teammate,
As a friend.
We pledge to continue the conversation.
because it matters.
because you matter.
Stand up to the stigma.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Continue the conversation.
You are not alone.
I have a voice.
You have a voice.
We have a voice.
Our voices can be heard
Outside of sports.
As student athletes, we have a platform.
Now more than ever.
It's important that we listen, learn, and lead, and raise our voices for change.
We can all do more.
Now is the time
To make a difference.
This is our chance.
This is our chance to make a better tomorrow.
Together,
we will continue the conversation.
We have a voice.
On June 23, 1972, Title IX was signed into law, and it reads, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity, receiving federal financial assistance." Happy 50th anniversary, Title IX. Thank you for giving little girls like me and big kids like Conference USA student athletes the opportunity to dream big.
And welcome back to the Cathedral of Tennis here as we're jumping right into the action here with the doubles matchups. And as we see here, I'll have our doubles matchups right here. On court 1 for the Northern Alabama Lions, we have Carlos Valor versus Nazaro Fedorishin versus Oscar Brosh-Polson and Shu Matsuoka. And then rounding it out on court 2, we have Lachlan Marine versus Guillermo Dinez versus Marcel Kamraski and Pavel Model. And then rounding it out on court 3, Federico Scutizzi versus and Jamie Bigsby versus Stein Slump and Baran Soler. Yeah. So here we go. Again, a little bit mix up here for Coach Jimmy and the Blue Raiders. Not your standard court ones of Oscar Brosh-Polson and Francisco Roca there, but a little bit of different mix up here with Oscar Brosh-Polson still on court 1, but a little bit different partner with Shu Matsuoka.
And this is one of the things we were curious about was what the lineup would be for Middle Tennessee. And here we see the kind of mix up of the doubles lineup. OBP and Shu are going to start things out. Oscar Brosh-Polson and Shu Matsuoka. Should be a very interesting matchup here. I'm very curious to see how they'll do as the one team. As we see that one go out of bounds. And, you know, Middle Tennessee is playing with a lot on their heads today. There you see the shirts that they're currently wearing. There's a little memorial on the back for a guy named Mr. B, and that is because he is the former men's tennis head coach, Buck Bolden, who unfortunately recently passed away, weighing heavy on the minds of all these Middle Tennessee players, and they're playing for him and playing to be motivated by that today. And we've seen it already with the victory over Dartmouth and, of course, the great win over Northwestern, number 19 Northwestern, just over a week ago. And now looking to translate that against North Alabama. But that is what the shirts are in honor of, and you can bet that's weighing heavy on their minds.
Weighing heavy on the minds indeed. As you know, if you see on social medias, the men's tennis team was up in Evansville, Illinois there against Northwestern, and that win was for Coach Buck. They had a picture of him, had him in the celebration, showing respect there, because I know Coach Jimmy, he shows a lot of his coaching style and gives all the credit to Coach Buck. So this Blue Raiders team this season is going to be dedicated to Coach Buck, and they're hoping to have huge momentum driving, hopefully, for another CSA title this year.
That's the idea for Middle Tennessee. And as you mentioned, Coach Jimmy, lots of respect for Coach Buck.
But before we can get to that CSA title, we still have the regular season upon us here. First match back at the Cathedral of Tennis. Seems like about a month time for the Blue Raiders.
Yes, it's been just about a month since they last played, of course, in that doubleheader day. Their last match was against Austin Peay on February the 19th here at the Cathedral of Tennis before we had the match earlier today against Dartmouth. So this is only their second match back in about 4 weeks. But it looks like they're not missing a beat as we see that ball get flustered out, and it looks like Middle Tennessee is going to score off of it. Nice shot delivered there by Shu Matsuoka, and he just continues to come into his own. We've seen him improve time and time again, and he's becoming more and more of a valuable piece for this Raiders squad.
Shu has really been putting a staple here in the middle of the season. We saw he made his way onto that court 3 doubles when they have their normal starting lineup. But Coach Jimmy's put a lot of respect into Shu's game, pushing him all the way up to court 1 here alongside Oscar Brosh-Polson here in the second half of the doubleheader.
And it's not unwarranted either because Shu has had experience in the doubles lineup. Of course, he partners with Andre Horak for most every single doubles match now at the number 3 court. So he definitely has the experience to go along with it, and he's hoping to use that today to great effect.
And again, Oscar Brosh-Polson, you might hear that name a lot, and you feel like, man, this guy's probably been playing for 4 years, but again, he is only a sophomore.
Only a sophomore.
And he has plenty of room to grow, but it's still taking a veteran leadership here, playing alongside, freshman Shu Matsuoka here. And, he's gained a lot of that experience, playing alongside a grad student, Francisco Roca, usually on court 1. So it's good to see, that veteran leadership already coming out in such a young, promising player here for Coach Jimmy and the team. As you can see now, you can see that memorial for Mr. B Again, huge staple here for all Blue Raiders men's tennis here at the Cathedral.
As we see that ball get floated out of bounds, and going back to Oscar Brostrom-Polson, or Ozzy as he's known by his teammates, comes in with a number 99 singles ranking in the ITA, and of course he and Francisco Rocha have a dynamite doubles team, currently ranked number 46 in the ITA doubles rankings, and that will probably be increased as they haven't come out for the singles and doubles rankings in a few weeks, just the team. So that will only continue to improve, and not to mention that Oscar Brostrom-Polson just recently won CUSA Athlete of the Week for his performance against Northwestern.
Huge showcase there for Oscar Brostrom-Polson. Still trying to climb those rankings day by day, but just as this team is as well. Again, with those new rankings coming out, they were ranked 21st, and we know firsthand experience, Coach Jimmy, Coach Callie, and these boys, they don't pay attention to the rankings. They only see wins and losses. They look at their opponents straight ahead of them, but the fans know, and in the back of the minds, the players know, and they want to see that number increase day by day. Actually, they want to see it dwindle. They want to see it get lower and lower. So it means you're reaching the top there.
Speaking of reaching the top, what a beautiful serve that was from Oscar Brostrom-Polson right in that back corner. He does such a great job with getting the velocity off of those serves, and when he puts the spin on it as well, it's hard for anybody to counter.
Another beautiful serve there by Oscar Brostrom-Polson.
Makes it so much harder for opponents because it's almost a misdirection whenever you see that serve coming at you at that speed and at that velocity. And Oscar Brostrom-Polson does a fantastic job of kind of disorienting the opponents or lulling them into a false sense of security. Got to admire that in his play style.
Nice play up there, the front of the net by Shu Matsuoka.
Beautiful job by Shu Matsuoka right up against the net. Plays a game of paddleball for a second, takes the ball right up and over. Shu Matsuoka continues to develop that play style more and more. Compared to where he was at the start of the season to where he is now, he is vastly improved. And even when we last saw him in February, you can really tell the difference. And Shu continues to get better and better.
Shu is one of those guys. We've been talking, a few of the crew here for MTN Sports has been talking to Coach Jimmy, and he has given a lot of praise to Shu. He sees a lot of growth in him. It's really taking in all the information he can comes from Coach Jimmy or Coach Callie or even the older, guys on the team. And if you're a Blue Raiders fans, I would be looking out. Invest some stocks in the Shu Matsuoka stock market because it could pay off here for you later on. As we saw there, MTSU holding their serve alongside a hold for North Alabama on the first set. Here, 1-1.
Nice return there by Oscar once again. Doing a great job of closing in on that strike. See, that one got spiked right up and over the net. And I've seen that a few times today from some of the Middle Tennessee returns. And there's really nothing you can do on those floater shots when they get that much elevation on them. You kind of have to sit back and watch. It's very hard to return. That's why as a player you want to avoid those if at all possible. But I don't think there was anything that Oscar Brostrom-Polson or Shu Matsuoka could have done right there.
Do a little housekeeping for us around the Cathedral here on Court 1 once again. 1-1, all knotted up. Both teams holding their serves there. We jump around the Cathedral here on Court 3. MTSU has jumped early with a break there. Pushes their lead to 2-0. That is Stein, Slump, and Baran Soiler is there. And then on Court 2, no score update there. Be sure to keep you up on all the games here at the Cathedral. See a nice spike there by North Alabama.
Well, there's one other return that you really can't do anything about, and it's that big spike strike right into the ground. And then Shu Matsuoka, he did everything that he could to collect it, even went out of our picture frame here, but there was just no way that he was going to be able to track that down. It was a true on St. Patrick's Day Shamrock Smackdown.
See, after that fault, Shu pushing up now, playing a little bit more aggressive here. So that one barely clips the top there, and it'll drop down. That will secure another hold there for the Lions.
And this team right here from North Alabama has had a lot of success thus far this season, 4-3 overall as a doubles team, and they really continue to show their stuff. They came in with a little bit less momentum after that Bellarmine match, but they've continued to show that they're not intimidated by this Middle Tennessee team, and they're going to take it to them as much as they can.
You know, the mental battle can be just as crucial as the battle on court. So if you come in with a good head state of mind, as Jay-Z, you know, Empire State of Mind and Alicia Keys, but different kind of state of mind here. If you come in thinking, oh, you know, they're ranked 21, we don't stand a chance, and could lose a battle right then and there. But this North Alabama team is not taken into account that, and they come out firing here, looking to steal this doubles point early on. So we'll get a stoppage of play here on court number 2. We'll shoot it on down to our sideline reporter, Jace Simpson. Jace, what you got for us today, man?
Yeah, so over on court 3, we've already had 2 breaks in favor of MTSU as they're now 3-0 over there with Stein Slump leading the way over there, along with Baran over there as well. So 3-0 on over on court 3, and I'll keep you updated with more as I go along here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Vincent. Again, like you just heard, Stein Slump and Baran Soler there on court number 3. Taken to the Lions here early on, 3-0. So you just see there a huge spike there by Marcel, and that ball actually just bounced right past our setup here in the pathway overviewing the Cathedral.
Yes, it did. It flew right past us, and Marcel, he was putting that one with authority. Beautiful spike right into the ground, and again, he went to the net very quickly. That's discipline and that's practice right in front of us here.
So we can see there an updated score here, 3-1 in favor of Middle Tennessee. Beautiful play there by the grad student Pavel Model there, jamming the UNA player. I believe that was Lachlan Brain there.
Nice misdirect there by Pavel Model, and he is such a great player right up in front of the net. That really seems to be where his wheelhouse is, and he continues to use that more and more as this season progresses forward. Definitely a comfort spot, especially when it comes to doubles. And interesting note here for this doubles team, usually we'll see Wilhelm Diniz for North Alabama. Usually he's with Jamie Bixby, but it seems as though Coach Raperez wanted to switch things up. That doubles team is 0-4 on the year, so he decided to go with Diniz and Brain. So very interesting combo, and shows that Middle Tennessee isn't the only one putting in a bit of an unorthodox strategy when it comes to doubles.
Denny's here on the serve. Beautiful serve there by Dennis. Not much Marcel Kimrowski can do there.
Yeah, Dennis had a lot of velocity on that one. Beautiful placement right in the box, and as a returner, the best thing you can do sometimes is try to even it up and hope for a return, but nothing that Middle Tennessee could do right there. It's one of those you just have to take in stride and move on from.
Yep, that or you just get lucky like the Irish and fitting on the St. Patrick's Day. But luck was not on Marcel's side there.
Yeah, didn't have a 4-leaf clover in his pocket that time.
Stellar defense there by Pavel Model and Marcel Kamrowski, as that will secure another point in favor of the Blue Raiders.
And you see Coach Jimmy with the quick applause. Nice job by Marcel Kamrowski. Love that misdirect. He kind of side swipes it nonchalantly, almost behind the back S, Patrick Mahomes-esque. Marcel Kamrowski, and he did a really great job today in his first matchup against Dartmouth, and he just carries that over here in this doubles match. Kamrowski really making a statement here.
Absolutely. If you saw earlier on our Dartmouth broadcast, Coach Kelly was, when we asked him about, what player did he see in their long road trip that was putting on a show, and he said Marcel was putting in the work. Marcel was, we saw Marcel kind of struggle, here and there on the road and even at the Cathedral in the middle of the season, but it seems like he has turned the page here and is now putting on a show.
Yeah, what was really a testament to me is he ended up kind of suffering a bad loss in the first set in his match against Dartmouth. Came in, had a huge response in his next two sets. Really showed what he's capable of, as we see Middle Tennessee pick up another point here with Stein Slump and Baron Soiler. Nice job by them. But Marcel continues to impress more and more. And let's not forget, he got the winning point against Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois. So he continues to be an integral part. And, hey, we can't forget also he had the winning point against Duke. So it seems in a lot of these clutch situations it comes down to him, and he continues to deliver.
Marcel Kamrowski, just like FedEx and UPS, always delivering on time. But as we jump here into the court 3 action, Stein Slump and Baron Soiler here up to a 5-0 lead. And man, if you're Baron, you just playing alongside Stein, it's a blessing. This Stein is, if I had a duos partner, I feel like he could carry me to a victory. I'm not very gifted on the tennis court, but I feel like Stein could hide my lack of skills.
I think Baron is like a kid in the candy store when he's partnering with Stein Slump. Really, that gives you so much more in terms of what you can do, what you can return, and what you feel confident in hitting, because having that kind of backup is absolutely massive, and when Stein Slump does things like that, it continues to help you out more and more. Beautiful serve, and Stein just continues to be a nightmare for this North Alabama team here early.
So big there for Stein Slump here as he's trying to secure a 6-0 sweep here on court 3. But we're giving Stein all the credit, as we saw Baron also putting in the work there at the front of the net. So again, Stein we give all the praise to Double S, but got to give respect where it's due. Baron has really been putting in the work here. Again, like it says, it takes 2 to tango. These two looking like they are dominating the Dance Dance Revolution at the arcade machines, because they are in sync.
Oh, wow.
And that will wrap up the action here on court 3. All MTSU here. 6-0 victory for Stein Slump and Baron Soiler here.
Yeah, Stein lost his cap. He was trying so hard to track down that ball. Fantastic job once again, and really shows what he's capable of. When you got Stein Slump, Double S, the Turkish technician alongside him, that team really proved themselves today. A bagel against North Alabama early, making a statement and carrying that momentum right into the singles.
Huge bagel victory there on court 3. Now MTSU inching ever so closely to that doubles point. Court 2 here, 1 game away from MTSU clinching this doubles point with a 5-2 lead in favor of Pavel Model and Marcel Kamrowski.
And now we'll see if Pavel and Marcel can shut this thing down, which we will see momentarily. These two continue to be a really fantastic team.
They're coming.
And, you know, looking at this ASUN conference that North Alabama comes from, really a lot of teams from the ASUN have ended up coming to Conference USA, not to mention the fact that Kennesaw State, who we saw play earlier today in March Madness, will be coming to Conference USA soon. So there's a lot of parallels and a lot of comparisons to be made between these two conferences, and that kind of links these two teams up even more than you'd first think.
Yeah, Kennesaw State, they looked like they were in control there and were looking to bust some more brackets, but fell ever so slightly to Xavier there, keeping some brackets still alive with the favorites running chalk.
And when you want to talk about teams that Middle Tennessee has played this year from the ASUN, you got to mention Austin Peay is one of those. In addition to North Alabama, who they've already played, they've played Lipscomb in both women's action, and they've also played Bellarmine in women's action. And Liberty is a former team from the ASUN that's coming to Conference USA. So realignment continues to be huge between these two, and it's almost as if Middle Tennessee is having an FBI raid into the ASUN's house.
Oh, man, Dylan Simmons, the man with the puns.
I mean, it is. They're getting raided, man.
Yeah, CSA is trying to take over as the dominant conference for all sports. You know, that Big Ten and, you know, the Pac-12, SEC, they don't hold a candle to CUSA.
Gotta love the Conference USA, but how about Marcel Kamrowski with that side swipe once again, and that's going to clinch it, Matt.
Yeah, we're all talking about, you know, realignments and everything, but the boys in blue were putting on a show for all those viewing here at the Cathedral and on MTN Sports YouTube channel and CUSA TV. But once again, MTSU claiming the doubles point here with victories on court number 2 with Pavel Model and Marcel Kamrowski. And then on court number 3 with Stein Slump and Baron Soiler there. Overall, just all MTSU there in the doubles. We saw in court 1, they were a little bit back and forth, but court 1 was just, you know, in the middle of the two pieces of bread, kind of like a dominant sandwich. You had dominance on one side for MTSU and dominance on the other, and it was just all Blue Raiders there for the doubles.
Yeah, I got to agree. Middle Tennessee really came out and showed out, and I was curious what the approach would be, if they would still approach these games with the same tenacity and interest. Well, they absolutely did, making a quick early statement of North Alabama. And now the question is, can they translate that into the singles? I was talking with our advisor, Dane Eschenfelder, before this game about how singles and doubles matches can differ, and this will be a big test for the Raiders as well, because singles and doubles, they're two different landscapes, two different sides of the same pendulum, and we're going to see how it works out for the Raiders and the Lions here.
Absolutely. We will catch you all up on those singles matchup just right after our quick short break. You are watching Blue Raiders Tennis here on MTN Sports' YouTube channel and CUSA TV here at the Cathedral of Tennis. We'll catch you after this short.
Mental health affects us all, whether you finish first or last.
Whether you win or lose.
The stigma around these issues causes those around us to suffer in silence.
Mental health is nothing to be ashamed of.
You are not alone.
You are not alone. As a student athlete,
As a teammate,
As a friend,
We pledge to continue the conversation.
because it matters.
Because you matter.
stand up to the stigma.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Continue the conversation.
You are not alone.
I have a voice.
You have a voice.
We have a voice.
Our voices can be heard.
Outside of sports.
As student athletes, we have a platform.
Now more than ever.
It's important that we listen, learn, and lead, and raise our voices for change.
We can all do more.
Now is the time
To make a difference.
This is our chance.
This is our chance to make a better tomorrow.
Together,
we will continue the conversation.
we have a voice.
On June 23, 1972, Title IX was signed into law, and it reads, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity, receiving federal financial assistance." Happy 50th anniversary, Title IX. Thank you for giving little girls like me and big kids like Conference USA student athletes the opportunity to dream big.
Welcome back here to the Cathedral of Tennis. Once again, I am Matt Hayden, joined alongside my analyst today, Mr. Dylan Simmons, here at the Cathedral of Tennis, here on the MTN Sports YouTube channel and CUSA TV, with our broadcast of MTSU Blue Raider Tennis playing off against the Northern Alabama Lions. As we jump right into the action here for our singles matchup. Again, a little bit different than we're usually seeing. You don't have your double S there on court 1, your Cisco's on court 2. So for our lineups today, we have Francisco Roca here on court number 1, facing off against Lachlan Brain for the Northern Alabama Lions. And then on court number 2, we have Oscar Brosh and Polson there playing against Carlos Maradona Valor. And then on court number 3, we have Baron Soler there facing Nazar Federation. And then on court number 4, we have Guilherme Denez there playing off against Marcel Kamrowski. And then on court number 5, we have Pavel Model playing off against Chris Zong there. And then rounding it out on court number 6 is Shu Matsuoka facing off against Federico Scutuzzi there. Long list of action here in our singles matches.
Yeah, these Lions teams don't have a lot of players to work with at all, even to start with. They only have 7 players on the entire team, so this roster plays virtually every single game, and they have a very similar roster for most of them with some slight variations, and we'll see that in store today.
So we jump on board here with our court 1 player today, Lachlan Brain playing off against Francisco Roca here. Again, for those curious, Mr. Stein Slump played in the doubles matches here, but also played in singles matches early on against Dartmouth. So Coach Jimmy giving Double S a little break there. Another person out of the lineup is Andre Horak. Again, another person that played all against Dartmouth there. That's a luxury that Coach Jimmy has here with the Blue Raider team. He feels comfortable being able to, give people rest and give his team, different looks day in and day out. So huge advantage there for Coach Jimmy in the Blue Raiders.
Yeah, and looking at Lachlan Brain, who Francisco Rocha is currently facing off against, he's a player who is a freshman prodigy here overall. He's got a 5-3 record in singles, which leads the team, and he was dominant in a 2-set victory against Bellarmine just last week. And he continues to be maybe their best player, and there's a reason why he's the number 1, because he continues to show that time and time again. He will provide a very interesting challenge for Francisco Rocha today. And Francisco doesn't usually and historically have the same success at 1 as he does 2, so we're going to see how he handles it today. But if his singles performance against Dartmouth is anything to go off of, I think he'll be just fine.
Beautiful start to the hold there for Francisco Rocha. Again, like you said, Cisco hasn't had the same success he usually does in court number 2 when pushed up to court 1. So, again, Coach Jimmy trying to give him more reps here, trying to get comfortable, because a lot of factors that go into is his comfort level. And it's, you're like, but all the courts are the same. Not to these players. Some players, feel more comfortable at certain courts, either because they're on the outside or, because they're sandwiched in between 2 specific teammates. It can play a factor here, and so, that's what that home court can do for you. You have your crowd, but you're playing on courts that you practice day in and day out, so interesting to see here how Cisco plays here on court 1 against Lachlan Brain here.
Yeah, I think he misjudged that last swing just a little bit. He was going for the nonchalant kind of low hit. I saw him hit those a couple of times against Dartmouth, but this time he hits it a little bit too low, not enough velocity. I think if he had just put a little bit more sauce on it, he could have gotten it over the net, but just unable to that time. And that's one of those judgment calls as a tennis player that sometimes you get right and sometimes you get wrong.
Fist bump there from Cisco.
Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful corner shot right there. Francisco really with some beautiful placement on that last shot. That takes so much skill to get it just right in that position, and it's so hard as a returner to get that back. Francisco knew that. Great job.
Fault there to start for Cisco. Tricky double fault there for Cisco.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake for Francisco right there. And he comes into today with an 8-4 singles record. He's been very solid all year, but it seems as though his singles has sometimes not been as strong as some of his doubles performances. So there was a big question about how he was going to perform against Dartmouth and North Alabama. Certainly has been up to the case so far. Came into today with a 2-loss streak, but he's trying to amend that right now, and I think we're seeing truly what he's capable of, kind of flashing back to what he was able to do in 2022 in singles.
That one just squeaking out there in favor of Francisco Rocha there. Beautiful defense there by Lachlan for North Alabama. Just a little bit better offense there.
Yeah, looks like Lachlan got cut off like Kevin Byard's pay right there. Just could not get it in time. That's one of those things that just off the cuff you have to really be ready for. Just wasn't able to that time.
So you see both Lachlan and Cisco holding serves there. That one seemed to go just a bit long there.
Yeah, just a bit too far. We've seen some of Brain's shots kind of get a bit too far past that back line, and Francisco doing a great job of just letting them fly past. And I've said it a lot of times, but as a player, sometimes that's one of the smartest plays that you can do is just let the opponent make a mistake. Francisco has done a great job of recognizing that, and take the easy points. Take what the opponent gives you. It's a simple strategy, but it works wonders and helps get you victories.
That one sent to the net there by Lachlan.
We're seeing Francisco really apply the pressure up against the net. And it's a very sound strategy that a lot of these Middle Tennessee tennis players use. They'll start off kind of back, hit some power shots, keep the opponent towards the back line, then they'll move up and collapse and strike in. It's a strategy that works wonders, and it's used time and time again by these Blue Raiders, and it works to perfection.
Like you said, again, North Alabama, a very short roster team here, so a lot of these players play the doubles matches and play basically every game that they suit up for, so you know that having to play a long list of games with little to no rest can take a toll on you, so interesting to see here how this North Alabama team is able to respond. But already down to a 1-0 disadvantage there after they lost that doubles point. So having to secure 4 courts here to clinch a victory. But teams here on court number 1. Cisco off to a good start there. Gets an early break. Pushes his lead now to 2-1.
Yes, he does a fantastic job by him, and he continues to show out over on court number 1. Any sign of changing to a different court, making him uncomfortable, has not been something that we've seen thus far, and he's done a fantastic job of that. And going back to this North Alabama team, they're a program that's kind of in a bit of a rebuilding mode right now. They're coming off a 3-17 season a year ago, and last year against Middle Tennessee here in the Cathedral of Tennis, I was here for the game. It wasn't pretty. 7-0 defeat against Middle Tennessee, and they're trying to pick up the pieces from that and really respond against this Blue Raider squad. And part of that starts with today. But, you know, already they have managed to get more wins this year than they were the entirety of last year, a 4-5 record coming in. So they haven't played horribly bad. It's just that sometimes they've been struck with bad luck and haven't been able to get things to work out. But we've seen how their coach has been able to really rebuild this program in quick succession. And we're seeing some of the fruits of that today, competing with Middle Tennessee in ways that they weren't able to last year.
Competing indeed. Again, like you've been saying, it's been a long history between, you know, a short history, but a consistent history between these two teams. MTSU has been dominated in the series, 7-0 victories, you know, coming from all which ways. But again, the Lions are starting to rebuild, and you know, their program's starting to develop a nice, solid foundation. Still trying to build upon. Good, solid rebuild.
As we see that shot from Brain just go to the outside. One thing that I think Brain is struggling with is having some accuracy issues. We saw him hit it a bit too far earlier, and now it's going outside the lines. And he's also having a hard time returning some of these Francisco Rocha serves, and albeit I think just about anyone would with the kind of velocity that he continues to put on them.
The Rocha rockets he will be sending out on these serves. It's spectacular, and we see that in a lot of the boys in blue. It's just their powers behind their serves. You know, we see, you know, the usual court 1 suspect, a Stein Slump. He put some mustard on his balls too. But this whole team is filled of powerful servers, and that just gives us such a huge advantage for them. Is you have a powerful serve, you're making your team, you know, your opponents feel like their back is against the wall for majority of the rally, and you're able to play aggressive and jump out to an early attack there.
Yeah, we see the freshman from Adelaide, Australia, have that one just get pushed right past him once again. And in many ways, this is going to be a big learning experience for him as we see this one just go right over.
We're talking about the power that Cisco has, but again, with great power comes great responsibility, and you just got to learn when you need to have that power. But sometimes soft, easy hits over the nets are more effective than a power slam. So always got to look, when do I need to put some extra sauce on these hits, and when do I need to go a little bit softer and just ease it over. See their both displays of power and technique for Cisco.
Yeah, and those soft, easy shots prove all the more effective when you put the spin doctor on it, as Francisco Rocha just did. Beautiful shot delivered right up past Brain. Really nothing you can do. I've been there as a player. When the ball gets spun like that, you're stuck. It's like you're in quicksand. You can't figure out what you want to do with the ball because it's just stuck in place. Because Brain delivers a nice shot there, and that's one of the better shots he's had right to the corner here today. Really nice job, but when the ball gets spun like that, there is nothing you can do as a player. It's almost like you're frozen in time. You just have to sit and watch the ball get spun, and really nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do indeed there, but Lachlan Brain put a little crossover there on Cisco. Would make Allen Iverson proud. Another one there, squeaking in there in favor of Lachlan Brain, past Francisco Rocha.
And we're seeing Brain get a little bit more comfortable with some of these shots. That was, again, a really nice placement right to that corner. That's the hardest place for Francisco to try to hit it out of. And really for any player, it is going to be tough to hit those backhand corner shots. So you'll want to go to Francisco's weak side if you're Lachlan Brain. That's a great start. Now he has to establish more consistency.
That one squeaks into the singles line there for Francisco Rocha.
Again, really nice velocity that time. Wrecked that ball like it was at a demolition derby. Beautiful job right to the corner. Francisco Rocha doing what he does best, right in his comfort zone. That was a combination spin and corner shot, and that just makes it all the more effective. Looks like there's a conversation ensuing here. See Francisco Rocha discussing something with the ITA official, I believe. Not sure what that was all about.
Just we've seen all the action here on court 1. Again, singles has a little bit more action than doubles with 6 courts going on. A little housekeeping around the cathedral here. On court number 2, Oscar Brosham Polson is up 4-0 there versus Carlos Macedonia Valor there. And then on court number 3, Baron Soiler there up 3-1. So again, Baron putting on a show there against Nazar Federation. 3-1 in favor of Baron there. And then on court number 4, we have Marcel Kamrowski for the Blue Raiders, also up 3-0 there. My apologies, 5-0 for Marcel on court number 4. So a court to look forward to, maybe a quick finish there for Marcel Kamrowski against Guillermin Dinez there.
Yeah, we're going to get some footage of that here in just a second. But Marcel Kamrowski, we saw how effective he was in the finish against Dartmouth, carrying that right over here to North Alabama.
Yeah, Marcel Kamrowski, again, huge clincher in Evanston, Illinois against the Northwestern Wildcats. They're clinching it for a huge top-ranked opponent win. And the clincher was Marcel Kamrowski. As we go double screen here, we have 2 5-0 first sets, all in favor of the Blue Raiders, with court number 4 on the left side with Marcel Kamrowski, as we were just talking about. And then on the right side, court number 2 with Oscar Brosham Polson, up 5-0 as well.
Looks like Marcel just couldn't track that one down that time. Dinez, the junior from Brazil, did a really nice job of staying with it. It looked like Marcel had pushed him towards the back line, but Dinez had some really nice power on that backhand to get it back over the net. It's a lot harder as a player sometimes to respond to those. Marcel did what he could, but it just kissed the net.
A little fun factoid here as we see courts number 4 and courts number 2 placed right beside each other. So maybe Oscar Brosham Polson and Marcel Kamrowski having a little friendly competition. Who's going to finish their first set first here as they play right next to each other. So
yeah, who wants that first single set point here? As you mentioned, for both these players, we saw that one go in the net for Oscar Brosham Polson. And also keep in mind, they might encourage each other. I've heard a lot of that today for these players. And in many ways, they are family. So I'd say we'll see some words of encouragement.
solid try there by Oz, trying to squeak it in there just a little bit too far.
Yeah, he did his best to slide over to it. Had the elevation, but it just didn't come down in bounds quick enough. It's a lot harder on a player when you don't have that correct traction. You lose your balance and it kind of throws your shot awry.
Will we see bagel time here in the first set for the Blue Raiders?
Nice job by Marcel letting that one go away.
That one sent out there by Maradona there.
What a serve from Marcel there on the left side of your screen, right to that corner. And it looks like that is going to do it. So Marcel Kamrowski taking the first set.
Guess the little friendly competition between Marcel and Oz goes in favor of Marcel as he finished his set first.
Beautiful job by him right there. We'll see if Oscar can join him shortly. But Maradona hanging with him.
See a little bit of swing in the
Yeah, and Maradona, the lone senior on this team for the Lions. They're a relatively young team, although they returned 5 players. 2 of them are new and are freshmen. As we see another beautiful serve from Oscar Brostrom-Polson. But he provides something that North Alabama kind of lacks in certain ways. Not to say they don't have any leadership, but they don't have as much experience, and Carlos is able to provide that for this team, and that helps so much when it comes to vision, trying to figure out how you want to approach things as a player. But you know what they say, everyone has got a plan until they get served a ball right in the face.
And you can see the importance of a veteran leaderships from all levels. As you can see in collegiate and professional, team-based sports, is veteran leaderships can be the major factor in a team being just that notch better. You can have all the youthful skill that you have, but a group of young guys can be as skillful as the best players in the world, but without veteran leadership, can't close out games. What we see here, MTSU has that equal balance of both veteran leadership and youthful talents. So North Alabama, again, still trying to develop a solid program, and they are heading in the right direction. As they, again, like you've been saying, past seasons have not been pretty. 3 wins is that's a long season for any squad. But Northern Alabama has turned the page and is now heading into the right direction to build a solid team that can go toe-to-toe with top talents around conference play and across the United States.
As we saw that one rattle out of the net for Oscar Brostrom-Polson. Have to believe that this one will be in the closing stages. Not sure of the exact score, but could be close.
That backhand there from Oscar Brostrom-Polson. Just couldn't get it over enough.
Yeah, he went for the scoop and score that time. He just couldn't scoop enough of it up over the net. Ended up not working out for him. When you get to the net, there's so much less room for clearance as a player, and you have to be a lot more accurate with where you're putting the ball, making sure not to put it too high because then you'll go out of bounds, but also not too low when you'll hit the net, as we saw that time from Oscar Brostrom-Polson. But you see, he just continues to deliver those serves.
So we see Maradona there stealing a point here in the first set. Not going down without a fight here against the man they call Oz here at the Cathedral.
Oh, what a backhand that was.
Huge backhand there, as we see a lot of emotions there for Oscar Brostrom-Polson. This Blue Raider team, you can see on all courts, all these players And all tennis athletes especially, they play with a lot of emotion, and that's what could be a driving factor for a team. As we can see, Oscar Brosnan-Polson securing a 6-1 first set victory there on court number 2.
Yeah, we got the bagel on the left and the breadstick on the right for Middle Tennessee, and that's a fantastic start for these Raiders, especially for their hopes of beating North Alabama. Firing on all cylinders right now, and that's exactly the kind of momentum and attitude that I'm sure Coach Jimmy and Coach Callie wanted to see.
Got a breadstick on court number 2 for Oscar Brosnan-Polson, but a little update here on court number 1. We have another breadstick in favor of the Blue Raiders. Francisco Rocha taking down Lachlan Brand in the first set there. So 3 courts already in favor first set victories of MTSU. And that's all they need to clinch a victory here.
Yes, it is, and they continue to get closer and closer, as you mentioned, to sealing a second straight victory on the day. And what would be an 8-0 mark all time against North Alabama, 4-0 for Coach Jimmy, if they can seal it, as it seems that they're well on their way to doing.
As we see here early, again, more dominant performance here from the Blue Raider team. As we saw there in the doubles matches, again, courts 2 and courts 3 all dominantly finishing in favor of the Blue Raiders there in the doubles, but then in singles, they were looking to perform the same way. Francisco Rocha on court 1, 6-1 victory, followed by Oscar Brosnan-Polson with another 6-1 victory on court number 2.
Yes.
And then rounding out on court number 4, Marcel Kamrowski says, you know what, guys, you can have the 6-1s. I'll take the 6-0s here on court number 4, as he has a donut or a bagel, however you prefer, whatever your holy center treat you like to call it. But again, they all count for the same.
Yes.
You know, they all count for 1 set victories, and they'll take their set victories any chance they can get. So a little, you know, internal competitiveness there from the boys in blue, probably seeing. But on the outside, all of them count the same. No matter how far you shoot the 3 or how long the home run is, they all count for the same at the end of the day here. But again, MTSU already up to 1-0 with that doubles victory, followed by 3 courts in their favor. So good start here for Coach Jimmy and the Blue Raiders.
Absolutely fantastic start for Coach Jimmy and the Raiders, and they continue to show more and more why they are the team that they are. And this is going to help them immensely as well for building momentum going into next weekend's match that we haven't talked about yet, but a big-time matchup, a rematch against number 41 Oklahoma, who they played in the Blue-Gray Cup Championship, and for the third-place game. And Middle Tennessee ended up sweeping them 4-0 earlier, so definitely a big opportunity for them to take that kind of momentum. It's going to be interesting as well having to rematch that same team, because we saw them rematch Tulane just a couple of weekends ago and ended up losing after beating them earlier in the season in the Blue-Gray Cup. So how will that translate over in Norman? Only time will tell.
That's the thing that Coach Jimmy, you know, preaches is, you know, it's either on a neutral side, or if it's on their side, or if it's on our side, you still got to play your brand of tennis. You still have to play, you know, got to be competitive. But Coach Jimmy has a lot of trust in his guys. You know, like you said, played Tulane in the blue-gray. They beat them there. But then when they went down to New Orleans, hard-fought loss there for the Blue Raiders. So interesting to see how they go head west into Norman, Oklahoma, and how they react, again, against another top 50 ranked team. So, but again, before they can head on over to Norman, Oklahoma, they got to finish business here in the borough.
So did UCLA. They had to hurt there, which that's how we beat them in conference championship. We didn't quite.
We see the Turkish technician Baran Soyler going up against Fedorshin here.
I would absolutely lose my absolute mind. I would lose it. Oh, look, see, that's the thing with Purdue. Purdue does not know how to play in a postseason. And there he is, Matt Payne, former Salute coach.
Oh, man. That's a heartbreaker for Baran, and saw that one flip just over. I believe that was out. were either out or in. I'm not sure exactly which. We'll get the official ruling in just a second, but that was an incredible volley between those two. And really it became down to a staring contest as to who was going to blink first. Ended up being Baran. He decided to stand still, and sometimes as a player you think that a hit is going to go out, but not quite the case for Baran Soiler that time. Bit of a mental mistake, but something he'll just have to work on.
Baran Soiler is one of those players that we see who can have some dominant performance in the singles matches. So interesting to see there. Like we stated before, doubles and singles are two different ball games. You're looking at basically two different courts, because in doubles you have an extended court there, and you're playing alongside somebody. And we see a lot of players, you know, can be very dominant at doubles but struggle in singles. But it's the opposite here for Baran. We see him, his strength has been his singles matches. We've seen him, when given the chance, put on some clinics, you know, on these upper courts of 4s and, you know, courts 3s. So interesting to see here how Baran Soiler here can put on his singles hat here and put on another show for the fans at the Cathedral.
That's the idea for him. He came into today with a 2-0 singles record, so he's had no shortage of success in his short time here at the Cathedral. As we see a double fault from Fedorishin, that right there. And that's something that Baran can use now to help himself out. For North Alabama, when you're playing against Goliath, you've got to make sure to mitigate those mistakes. Those are the kinds of things like double faults that you just have to avoid, and if those do happen, you have to keep them to a very, very small degree.
Again, double faults can be a crucial part into getting points in a set, because you got to think, if you get a double fault, that's two serves that land in favor that basically are just obsolete for you, that both land in favor that your opponent didn't have to do much work for. And so it gives them that bit of extra, you know, time to breathe and time to regain themselves. So double faults can be a crucial, crucial blow to any momentum you have. So if you're Federation here, you really have to bounce back, trying to avoid those double faults when you're already down 4-3 in the first set.
Yeah, in many ways they can be game killers because they take you off your game. You start thinking about it a little bit too much. As a player, tennis is as much a mental game as it is any other kind of game. So when you take your head out of the game, you're already mentally defeated, and then it translates onto the court. So you have to make sure to keep focus.
Federation here able to bounce back here, knotting everything up 4-4 against Baran Soiler here.
Yeah, as we see that one go out of bounds there for Fedorishin. He put a lot of sauce on it that time, and it just didn't have the accuracy that you needed. That's why you have to be so careful with those power shots. Power is only good if you can make accuracy out of it. And there you go again. You see Coach Jimmy coming to observe this game. Very interested in Baran's development. I saw him as well with Baran in the Dartmouth match, in his singles match earlier. So a lot of times he likes to hang out and watch these freshmen play. He's just as invested in the future as everybody else here at the Cathedral of Tennis, and he wants to see what he has in the next generation. And in many ways, these doubleheader second games are a great proving ground for a lot of these younger talents, Matt.
Absolutely, indeed, because again, if you play that first, you know, both the doubles and singles of the first half of the doubleheader, it takes a lot out of you. You know, no matter how much conditioning, how much training, you know, you do, it takes a lot. And we see even the best players, you know, having to, you need your rest. You know, putting in work and effort can be, you know, the downfall of you if you put too much in, if you don't take into rest into consideration. So that's where we see here a lot of younger opponent, younger Blue Raider teammates here getting their chance to show Coach Jimmy what they have. Because you got to think, you have the names of Stein Slum, Francisco Rocha, and Pavel Model, both, their time here at the Cathedral coming to an end, and they're looking to finish on top. So it's a group effort here between the older guys and the young crew here for Jimmy and the Blue Raiders.
Absolutely is. We see that one fall short for Fedorishin right there. And it looks like Baran is going to make it 5-4, so he just continues to build momentum here and really showing what he is capable of overall. Really nice job there.
As we come back up here into the booth, again, MTSU out to a 1-0 lead here against the Northern Alabama Lions. As we jump on board here on court number 5 with one of those grad students, one of those older veterans of the team, Pavel Model, playing up against Chris Zong here.
Yeah, this game in the midst of a 6-5 affair, so it's going to take a 7th win from Pavel Model to avoid a tiebreaker round.
That one's sent long there by Model.
Yeah, a bit too far to the outside. And Pavel didn't get to play singles against Dartmouth. Instead, Coach Jimmy opted to put in Baran instead of Pavel at his usual 6. And we were all curious about that change. Pavel did play against Northwestern in the singles and picked up a 2-set victory, but Coach Jimmy with a bit of a different philosophy today, instead saving Pav for this matchup. But as you can see, this one is definitely very competitive.
In MTSU coming off a huge victory against Northwestern on the road, which helped with their ranked 21 achieving in the recent ITA rankings.
Great corner shot that time by Pavel Model. Put it right to that left corner. Zong trying with the backhand, but again, it was one of those floater balls that's so easy as a player to just watch sail right over you. That's what Pavel Model did. It's so hard as a player to avoid keeping the ball up in the air for a long time. That's why those backhands are a special and rare breed when hit correctly. Only see the best of the best like Rafael Nadal and Djokovic hit those.
When you can achieve something that those two can do on the tennis court, that's a high appraisal you give a player. So for those curious, that's something you don't toss around lightly. That's something you hold with major respect, and
yes,
not easy to do.
Yeah, not at all, as we see Pavel gunning up for his next serve. Beautiful shot there right along that line. He has a fantastic serve when he gets cooking. That'll bring it to 3-0 in this tiebreaker round, and Pavel just continues to build that momentum. But you were mentioning the ITA rankings, and now Middle Tennessee climbed up. That Northwestern win was absolutely massive because it took them all the way from 29 to 21. So one ranked win can put you up 8 spots. That shows how the ITA committee is playing it this year.
If you're MTSU, you got a long road ahead of you here. So, like we've been saying, again, a huge game after this weekend against the Oklahoma Sooners, who they saw in the Blue Gray, and they did take them down. So again, they'll head to Norman, Oklahoma, my apologies, on March 24th, which is Friday, followed by a jump on down to Lubbock, Texas against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And then as they head back, they make one stop on their way back to Murfreesboro, stopping in Memphis to play against the Memphis Tigers March 31st on a Friday. So lots of opportunities to put on a show on the road for the Blue Raiders as they head into the final stretch here of the 2022-2023 regular season.
Another beautiful shot from Pavamoto right there. Right to that back corner once again. He really is testing out those corners for Zhang right now. That shows that he's found something that he thinks Zhang cannot return, and he is making the most of it. Great job by Pavamoto. Posterized that one like a fathead. Great job again, striking that ball and putting it in the perfect position. And you were talking about how late it is in the season, Matt, for Middle Tennessee, and we've heard it all year, the grind for 16 hashtag and moniker. That goes back to a lot of the attitude they've played with, and while they don't keep as much attention to the rankings and they want to take things one game at a time, it has been a big thing of theirs to get back to that 16 ranking and host an NCAA tournament game if at all possible. Of course, they'll have to win the CUSA title to do that, which they will be doing the best they can, but that grind for 16 moniker is still very much in the minds of these Blue Raiders. But the thing is, they haven't been able to get past number 21 in the ITA rankings all year. It seems as though whenever they do, they kind of stumble. So this will be a big question. Late in the season, can they put a string of games together to improve their ranking, get up in that 16-15 position to put themselves in position to potentially host an NCAA tournament game?
Absolutely. Huge games again against Oklahoma, another top 50 team there, but also solid teams and against, Texas Tech and Memphis all on the road. And if they're able to string a couple of wins already, we saw a very huge win against Northwestern, followed by coming home with another huge win against Dartmouth. And if they're able to secure another win here, that puts them in a 3-game winning streak heading onto the road to Norman, Oklahoma. And again, if they can win there, the ITA officials are going to be put on notice for the Blue Raiders. It may not, have another 8-spot jump in favor of the Blue Raiders. But again, stringing of victories. MTSU 9-1 here at the Cathedral. That one loss coming against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. But their road success has been not as dominant as they've been at the Cathedral with a 2-3 away record. So that's been their Achilles heel, has been that away from ATC. How have they been able to perform? So this is going to be a test for Jimmy and the boys in blue.
Certainly will, as we see Pavamoto. Looks like he's going to finish it off over here, make it 6-3. So not quite done yet. Thought he was almost done for a second there, but not quite. Still has a chance to clinch this first set, which would be huge. He's been in a dogfight here with Chris Dong. And these two continue to go back and forth, and we're really seeing the best of both of these players. And when you have these long, drawn-out matches, you have to also keep an eye on conditioning. We're really going to see the deep reservoirs of these players' energy and what they've got here late in the going.
One man I've seen a fair share of have a deep reservoir tank is Pavamoto. I feel like we see sometimes he's able to finish his matches quickly, but when it gets to the nitty-gritty and his matches prolong a little bit longer than he wants, he's able to dig deep and is able to put on a show here at the Cathedral. So again, in one of those matches, a dogfight that no one wants to give up here.
Well, they call him the closer for a reason. And there you see, that's going to do it here, Matt. Pavamoto watches that one go into the net for Chris Young, and looks like Pavamoto is going to beat the Auckland, New Zealand freshman Big-time win for Pavamoto there, and he continues to establish momentum. MTSU's got another set.
MTSU claiming another set here. Absolute huge for all MTSU fans and MTSU players. As we, again, trying to find which 3 courts will fall in favor of the Blue Raiders, or will Northern Alabama change the tides here and secure 4 courts in their favor.
Yeah, we will certainly see for their sake, but Middle Tennessee definitely in the spot that they need to be right now. Taking a look over at some of our other matchups in their second set, looks like Middle Tennessee struggling with a couple of these. Still looking to put a couple away. Looks as though Middle Tennessee does have the lead 2-1 over on court 4 right now with Marcel Kamrowski. And he's going to hope to clinch that out. But North Alabama doing a much better job of keeping pace with the Raiders here in these second set matchups. Shows that they're not going to go away without a fight.
Not going away without a fight indeed. Just like we see, you know, when the time comes with March, we all think March Madness brackets, March Madness basketball. Where's the upsets going to occur? And those upsets occur because these lower ranked teams do not go out without a fight. As we've seen in the past, 16 seed UMBC taking down a 1 seed Virginia a couple years ago. So you can never bypass those lowly ranked teams, those teams that you feel like, oh, I have an easy job taken care of. If you blink, they can jump out to an early lead. So if you're MTSU here, you really got to keep your foot on the gas. You've got to be, you know, dominant like you have been the whole day. So if you're MTSU, and I know Coach Jimmy preaches this, is he wants his work to be done quickly and easily, because it's when you let these teams slowly creep away, slowly pick away, that's when they can attack and be very lethal. So if you're a North Alabama Lions fan, you're looking for those chips, looking for those slow pickaways. As we take a break here on court number 5. As we jump around the cathedral here, trying to find which courts as we jump back up here into the booth. Again, we've seen MTSU coming out to very dominant performances there on a lot of the courts in the first sets, but we also seen the North Alabama Lions putting up a fight, as we saw there on court 5 with Pablo Modal and Chris Zong there. A 7-6 going in favor of the Blue Raiders, but Chris Zong not going down easy, giving Pablo Modal everything he got. But as we see here on court number 1, Francisco Rocha, a 6-1 victory in the first set, but now pushing it, now has pushed to 2-2 here in the second.
Yeah, Lachlan Brain not going away easily here, really testing Francisco Rocha in the second set. What a beautiful backhand right that time from Francisco Rocha. Man, that was a perfect placement of the ball. Really nothing Brain could do. He tried to chase it down and use his wheels, but there was no catching him that time. Beautiful placement by Francisco Rocha. And he does such a great job, again, of misdirecting players, knowing the perfect time and the perfect placement of the ball when the situation calls for it. That's the Francisco Rocha strategy.
Little update here on the other courts. One court that we have not jumped into the action for has been court 6 with Shu Matsuoka and Federico Scatuzzi there. But that first set has concluded a 6-4 victory for Shu Matsuoka there on court 6. So he is up also 1-0. So all 6 courts have finished their first set, all of them in favor of the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders.
And that would be huge for Shu as well. Comes in with a 1-1 singles record, looking for a big signature victory in the singles ranks. This would probably be one of his bigger ones if he could get it done. Get a second on the year, and that just is such a huge confidence booster for a young player. It makes you feel good about yourself and know what you are capable of and know that you are capable of victory.
Beautiful slam there by Francisco Rocha. I think they might have to check the court there. That ball was hit pretty hard. There might be a hole from the impact. That was a slam there.
Slam dunk city, absolutely. No, it's not basketball, but Francisco Rocha certainly dunking that ball very nicely, and You see a conversation is again developing. This is not the first time we've seen this in this game. ITA official Rocha and Brain are really having a long-form conversation here. And I don't think it's an impromptu speech contest. I think that they are trying to sort whatever just happened out. It looked like Rocha got that last shot in. I don't know if this is a disagreement about something that happened earlier or what it could be. You see Francisco's like, it went over there. Didn't you see it? It went right over there. And Brain's like, no, man, I'm pretty sure that one was out of play. See? And it's, look at this. Look at this. It was out of play. Didn't you see that? I mean, I can't read lips, but that's what I'm assuming
it's okay.
The conversation is right now.
It's all right, Dylan Simmons. You would make John Boy Media proud with your lip reading skills there.
I can only wish to be as good as John Boy Media with his lip reading skills, but yeah, you see this conversation still developing, and it looks like North Alabama's coaching staff also getting in on this, so this is a pretty big disagreement here about what just happened. I don't know if this may be a scoring issue or maybe Brain thought the game was over and it wasn't, but we're still on this right now, so suspended animation on the courts, it looks like, Matt.
Curious to see maybe post-game get a little bit inside information. What was the commotion here on Core 1, as we are still at a stalemate here between the ITA official, Francisco Rocha, and Lachlan Brain there.
You can tell both of these guys are fierce competitors, and Francisco is pretty adamant about what happened, it appears. But I think Brain's pretty adamant about it as well. You got two fiery players who have something to prove, have something they're trying to demonstrate today. And they're not going to accept anything less than the best from themselves and their ruling. And you see Rocha, Brain's still talking and not sure what the content of the conversation is, obviously, but may not be the friendliest conversation. Definitely some sort of disagreement.
Francisco looking over to the court next to him, where I believe Coach Jimmy and Coach Callie are posted up. So interesting to see here. As we see behind our setup, it seems that Coach Jimmy is now going to be making his way. As you see, he enters the screen there, heading towards court 1.
Yeah, when Coach Jimmy comes on a situation, you know that something is up.
This is going to be must. The reporters and the reporter skills that are going through the MTN crew are eager to learn what is the commotion occurring on court 1. If you are just intrigued as us, hopefully we can get something post-game together about what will be going on here.
Yeah, and you see the ITA official trying to explain something to Rocha here. Francisco not agreeing with whatever is being said. Coach Jimmy also trying to talk to Francisco, maybe trying to calm down his anxiousness just a little bit. Could very well be telling him just accept it and move on and just deal with what the ITA official said. At the end of the day, they have the overall ruling. Looks like Rocha is going to go back to the back line and going back to the curtain now. So now going over, and Francisco's coming out here, and now he's going to place his towel down. Well, this is this is bizarre stuff, Matt. I don't know if I've ever quite seen a stoppage like this at the Cathedral of Tennis. It's almost as if there's been a commotion in church and somebody's walked in that wasn't supposed to.
Now, we're going to stay on the action. You're curious to see how this court plays out. Really interesting to see what exactly was the conversation about.
Yeah, we'll be working to see what the result of that was, folks, but we got some tennis going back here.
Yeah, let's jump back into the tennis action here at the Cathedral. Again, my career here at the Cathedral of Tennis still very young, but I've seen a lot of things. That is not one of them.
Big spike. That one almost hit the camera that time from Francisco Rocha. And you see, he's very fired up. Slams down the headband of doom. He is very passionate about whatever did just take place. And I guess that will officially end this segment of the match, brings it to 3-2, and they'll head over to the changeover station. But, yeah, Matt, I have to concur. I've been doing this for 2 years for MTN Sports and have not seen anything quite like that. But I'll be very interested to see what the full story is, and can't wait to see what exactly happened there. Definitely makes the reporter inside all of us feel a little curious. But Francisco Rocha is going to take his time. He's going to get himself dusted off, wipe the perspiration off his face, talk things over with Coach Jimmy, grab a thing to drink, and keep it going.
But yeah, very interesting case here on court one. Again, once we get any inside scoop about it.
And it looks like we've got the scoop, I believe. So we're going to
Alrighty, we just got word that, again, unofficial report here. We don't have our own Adam Scheffners or Ian Rappaports, but we do have our reporters here. So the scoop is, on court number one, it was all knotted up 2 apiece in the second set. And we saw with that slam that Francisco Rocha believed that he was victorious for that point, meaning his lead would be pushed to 3-2. But Northern Alabama's Lachlan Brain said, no, it's still 2-2 here. You still have to finish the point. And the ITAA official seemed to have lost track of the score there. And so we saw Cisco was very communicative there between the two, explaining point by point how he succeeded in securing that victory. And so the final conclusion was, after Coach Jimmy came over and both head coaches were there, that the point will be replayed. And as we see now, Francisco Rocha claimed that third point with another slam that, again, like you said, almost hit the camera. So it looks like it did not play into effect there for the headband of doom. But again, very interesting stoppage there. So interesting to see if that pushes, Cisco to wanting to succeed even more here than he already has, because he already plays at 100%, but that could push a man over to overdrive and now knock it up to 125%. So interesting stuff going on here at the Cathedral of Tennis on this St. Patty's Day.
Very curious stuff indeed for Francisco Rocha. It's like a 1970s NASCAR race out here. Everybody's losing track of the running order and the score. That's to quote Ricky Rudd's crew chief, that's one of the darndest things I've ever seen. Very odd scenario, but hey, that's going to happen sometimes. Going to happen, and as a player, you just have to move on and respond, and that's exactly what Francisco Rocha just did. And I'll guarantee you this, Matt, that's going to light a fire under him that's going to probably help catapult him to a big win, at least in his own mind. And he's definitely going to play with a passion that we have not maybe yet seen from him, really going to tap into the deep part of himself. It's like when you get Goku, Matt, he's just going to go Super Saiyan and take you out.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to make Francisco Rocha, a.k.a. the headband of doom, mad, because I think we got to check out that headband. It might hold some secret powers. It's like Frosty the Snowman in his top hat. Changes the whole game when the headband comes on. So Interesting to see here how court number 1 plays out. But as we've been here, due to the conversations, action around the cathedral has still been going on. So a little cleanup here. On court number 2, Oscar Brasher-Polson once again up 1 set already, but is now up 4-3 in his second set versus Carlo Maradona Valor there, followed by court number 3. Again, another court that fell in favor of the Blue Raiders. My apologies there for Baron Soiler there. Up 2-1, followed by court number 4, Marcel Kamrowski up 4-3 in that second set. Followed by court number 5, Pavel Model up 2-1 there. And then on court number 6, Shu Matsuoka also up there. That one is 3-2 in favor of Shu.
Yeah, all the cards falling in the favor of Middle Tennessee right now in these second sets. We talked about how they struggled early on with a lot of these second set matchups, but they've really turned the corner as of late. Shows the resiliency that this team plays with and the pedigree that they have. They are not afraid to overcome deficits. They've done it all year, they've done it in the past, and they'll do it in the future. This team just really doing what they do best. Took a bit longer than maybe they liked, but they're showing what they're truly capable of in this game.
That is indeed. As we've seen, you know, in past matches here at the Cathedral, MTSU has usually been able to jump out to first set victories, but then that second set's get a little bit shaky for some players. But it seems here that MTSU has a little bit of change of pace here. So they are now trying to secure some early victories here because, again, this is the second half of a doubleheader here on St. Patty's Day. So before you crack open your beverage of choice for some, and the corned beef for St. Patrick's Day celebration, trying to wrap it up here at the ATC. Beautiful defense there by Francisco Rocha. He was getting sent coast to coast, but he was able to hold it steady and return and play the attack there against Lachlan Brain.
And what made the difference right there was pure speed. Francisco Rocha chased that one down very, very quickly, did a fantastic job of locating the ball, staying with it. That's something that a lot of players maybe necessarily wouldn't be able to get, but Francisco Rocha doing a great job of locating the ball well and helps Middle Tennessee, and looks like the Raiders have added another point here.
Another point has been secured for the Blue Raiders.
Looks like Marcel Kamrowski on court 4 with a 6-0 first set victory and a 6-3 second set victory.
Marcel Kamrowski securing another point there for the Blue Raiders. Again, was a clincher for Northwestern, but is now the starter here for the singles. So again, he can play both ends of the book. He can be, you know, the starting of getting the ball rolling, but also close it out. So
yes, he can.
Marcel Kamrowski, the freshman sensation. You know, this team's full of, you know, freshmen that have been known to ball out, as we see here, as we have one of those freshmen, Shu Matsuoka, there on the right side of your screen on court number 6, up 4-2. And then not a freshman this year, but a sophomore, so still one of the young guys here in Oscar Brasher-Polson there on the left side of the screen. So he is down 4-5 here in the second set.
Yeah, he's in a dogfight for the second set right now. It shows how quickly the Worm can turn. He was up 6-1 in the first set, got the victory, but just that quickly can get down to 4-5. These players can adapt very quickly, and I'll tell you this, you put the first set behind you a lot of times, no matter what you are, whether you're up or down, you have to just make sure to approach it from the stance that it's a 0-0 game. It's cliche. We've heard it a lot, but it really rings true in these second set matches. You have to act like the first set didn't even happen and approach it that way, because if you don't and you try to lean too much into that cushion, especially if you have the lead, it can come back to bite you.
Absolutely. Like we've been saying, is when you let these, opponents, they slowly, if they drop the first set but slowly start to pick away, finding those holes that they can, achieve, succeed in, then that's when it gets really dangerous. As we see, can never get comfortable. No matter how big the lead is, we've seen some crazy leads be broken on all sports spectrums. So tennis is the same way. You can have a first set victory, you can be cruising in the second set, but if there's still light at the end of the tunnel, that opponent is going to keep on going, and they're going to try to take advantage of it. So, again, MTSU having to keep their foot on the gas here if they want to succeed in achieving both wins of this doubleheader here today. But, again, they are in the driver's seat here, so interesting to see here how it plays out, what courts will finish, who will come out on top, and just overall some great performances we've seen today early on in this singles matches. So interesting to see how it finishes out here.
And we'll certainly see that momentarily. Looks like we're going to go split screen here with Oscar Broström-Poulsen on your left, Shu Matsuoka on your right from Middle Tennessee. Again, both trying to clinch victories for the Raiders, and that would give them the necessary 4 points to take the win against the North Alabama Lions. Looks like Shu dropped it to 4-3 now. And this is going to be big for Oscar, and you see him getting his next ball. But this is going to be a bit of a hole for him to climb out of, but he's done it time and time again. In fact, the last time we were here on February the 19th, he came out of a big deficit early in the first game and did a fantastic job of eventually clinching that for Middle Tennessee. So he knows how to get it done when he's behind the 8-ball. Boy, what a play by Shu right there. Fantastic job of locating that one into the left corner. Nothing Scatozzi could do. Beautiful placement, and another Shu shiner for Matsuoka. He just continues to be a threat for this team, and love that development that we continue to see. And it looks like Oscar Broström-Poulsen's brought it to 5-5.
Again, interesting. Curious to see how what a rally there between Matsuoka and Scatozzi there. We had to go sign that. We were just letting the play broadcast itself. Shu was putting on a clinic, just didn't have enough to get it over the net there, but still beautiful efforts by both Matsuoka and Scatozzi there.
Did you see when he went behind the back? That is so hard as a player to do. Almost looked like that Francisco Rocha SC top 10. Maybe not on the same level, but reminiscent how he just went behind the back, kind of did the spin cycle like he's on the merry-go-round, and he got that ball out somehow. It's a shame, and it kind of got caught up in the midst of that long rally, but a fantastic play. And, hey, Shu is right back on the pedal. Another point right there.
We've seen a couple backhand plays from the boys in blue. One that still rocks the Cathedral, and I'm surprised it did not make the Sports Center top 10 because it was pure, beautiful, excellent. In the doubles match with Oscar Broström-Poulsen and Francisco Rocha against the Rice Owls. If you haven't seen it, you can go check out the men's tennis Twitter, but also I think I probably tweeted it out about 10 times at the Baby Gator on Twitter of how it should have been SE top 10.
Looks like both games currently still happening. Left side, we got the changeover station. Tough break for Shu there. That one's gonna fall into the net. As we come back here. But yeah, really great play by Shu that time. Just couldn't get the ball over the net, but we're really seeing, especially in these long volleys, how he's able to keep it up. That's something that he wasn't able to sustain as much earlier on in the season, but did a fantastic job that last time. And he's really improving the longer and longer these rallies go, and that's huge for a tennis player.
Absolutely, indeed. As we jump dual screen here, both 5-3 matches here on courts 1 and court 6. As a victory on both of these courts will conclude a victory here for MTSU, so
definitely would conclude a victory. I am curious to see if in the event Middle Tennessee does close these out, will Coach Jimmy call it a game, or will he play it out for the rest of these players? We saw him play it out a little bit against Dartmouth. Wonder if he'll do the same against the Lions.
beautiful sneaking in the corner there by Shu.
Yeah, Rocha just couldn't track that one down. We go back to the right here. Looks like that last one just a bit too far from Shu. Really great rally once again. These two have such great equality when it comes to their play on the court that it's hard for either of them to really make a mistake, and it also becomes a staring contest as to who is going to blink first. Shu did that time, but it remains really even.
So that one falls just in there. No answer there from Francisco Rocha. That seems it will push it now to 5-4.
Yeah, Lachlan Brain not going away just yet. Fantastic job of hanging with Francisco Rocha. But you know, that's just going to fire up Francisco even more to finish this thing out at 6-4, especially as he'll be on serve. He'll have the perfect opportunity to do just that.
Shu Matsuoka here trying to secure another point for the Blue Raiders. Beautiful shot there by Shu Matsuoka.
Absolutely. He smoked that one like Salisbury steak right to the corner for MTSU. And Shu Matsuoka, really the placement on that one was the key. Scatuzzi got stuck in quicksand once again, couldn't get out. All you could really do is watch. And when you're stuck in the middle as a player, you almost have to second guess everything that you're doing because you can't go to the left and right in a really quick succession, and it almost ends up costing you. And I think that's what happened to Scatuzzi right there.
And for court 1, Francisco Rocha, a break there for Lachlan Brain. Could push this now to, if he secures a hold here, we'll push it now 5-5. So massive hold here. If you're Lachlan Brain, wanting to keep any hope you have of winning alive, you have to hold him here. If you drop this court, you are playing with fire because Shu Matsuoka is right behind and closing out his court. Both Now 5-4s.
See Coach Rapera is watching this one very closely for North Alabama. I think he knows the importance of this matchup for the Lions' hopes of winning this one. And he wants a front row seat. Looks like Francisco just pushed that one a little too far. Went for that slicing spin shot. Just couldn't get it inside. But I guarantee you, if you had managed to find a way, there would have been almost no way for Brain to return it. Accuracy is such a small thing, and even in tennis, it's a game of inches. Francisco just couldn't get the odds in his favor that time. But I like the mentality and I like the strategy. Keep going for that one if you're Francisco. Here you see that corner shot again from Rocha right in that left corner. And that's the kind of mentality that Francisco is looking for. Fantastic job. Really blistered that ball. And that
Absolutely, indeed. He could be in the perfect position, but that velocity can be crucial. We see on all levels for around the tennis, Ben Shelton had a 147 mile per hour clocked in serve, so they're bringing the heat here. I mean, again, this is still collegiate level, but I definitely would not want to be on the receiving end on some of these serves I see here at the Cathedral and across collegiate tennis.
best strategy you'd have would be just to get out of the way and hope against hope that it doesn't get in the box.
Or you just stick your racket out there and you get some luck on your side, have a 4-leaf clover tucked away, because
Or if you're the Raiders, maybe a lucky horseshoe.
that indeed. But these players have seen the heat, so that's why we just call it up here. We'll watch from afar.
What a rally there from Shu, and I think that's going to do it, Matt. What a brilliant play. He just spiked that one back, and he got Scatuzzi on roller skates.
We were just talking about power there. Shu Matsuoka putting on a power slam there, securing another court in favor of the Blue Raiders. Pushes their lead now to 3-0. As we'll jump on board here on court number 1, where Francisco Rocha is one more game away. A break here will conclude the matchup here between the North Alabama Lions and the MTSU Blue Raiders, but Francisco's got to get a break here.
Yeah, just something to keep in mind also on court number 5, Middle Tennessee close. As we see that one go out of play, but Pavel Moto up 5-2 in his second set right now. So he is also closing in on a victory. Either one of those working out for Middle Tennessee would give them a much-needed victory here against North Alabama. So looks like we're going to go split screen to see who's going to get it first, Matt.
Yeah, who will come out on top first? Will it be Pavel Moto, who is up 5-2 in his matchup in the second set, or will it be Francisco Rocha here, who, if can secure a break here against Lachlan Brain, can secure a victory for MTSU? So who will come out on top first? Either way, MTSU is looking to secure the victory. That one looks like it will be a bit long there, and that will secure the victory there for MTSU. MTSU now clinching a 4-0 victory here against the North Alabama Lions. But as you mentioned earlier on, interesting to see here what Coach Jimmy decided on, and it looks like he's decided he wants to play on. Give some of these younger guys a little bit more reps, but also probably something he discussed with North Alabama's head coach, as well as something, wanting to give more reps for his young squad as well. So
yeah, I'd have to imagine that that's the strategy here. And Pavel Model also up 5-2. Probably definitely want to see at least how that set plays out and if he can clinch a victory at the very least. So I'd say we'll see out the conclusion of this game and we'll see where we go from here. But definitely want to see if Pavel Model can clinch this here, Middle Tennessee, and get it to 5-0. But if last year's game is anything to go off of, they may play to 7-0. So time will certainly tell, but definitely not the end of our action yet.
Still plenty of Blue Raider tennis ahead. As we see Pavel Model one game away in the second set to secure a victory. If we go around the Cathedral, court number 2 has been pushed to a third set as Carlos Macedonia Valor has pushed it now, 7-5 victory in the second set.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we might see some 10-point tiebreakers be employed here soon for both of these teams, especially if they start getting pushed to third sets or are early on in the second set. So we'll be keeping an eye on that and making sure to update you as soon as we get it, but we will definitely be watching to see how all that shakes out.
Yeah, the courts that are still in action here. Court number 2, Carlos Macedonia Valor going up against Oscar Brauschen-Polson. Court 3 sees Nazar Fedorostin playing off against Baran Soiler there. And then finally on court number 5, as you see on our screen here, Pavel Model up 5-2 against Chris Zong here. So who will, again, MTSU has already secured the victory here. These are all just, gentlemen agreements here of finishing out these matches, seeing what both coaches have in store with their players. So and seeing a point has been added for the North Alabama Lions.
Yeah, I believe that is a mistake. I'm looking back at the scoreboard right now. Unless it's court 2, but I don't believe that would be the case, as Oscar Brauschen-Polson did win his first set. So we'll get more updates on that eventually, but I do see a point on the scoreboard, so I'll have to make sure and we'll see which game that is. But obviously for Middle Tennessee, though, they still hold a commanding advantage.
Indeed, commanding advantage indeed, as they've already secured that 4. So either way, again, victory has been achieved by the Blue Raiders. So all these matches are going to just be for more so exhibition. As we'll jump on here, Pavel Model on serve here, up 5-3. So Pavel power slam there.
What a booming return from Pavel Model right there. Perfect job going right up to the center. There you see they do take that point off the board, so that was a mistake as I presumed it was, so it does remain 4-0. Cathedral Tennis never fails to have some faulty scoreboards sometimes, but it is indeed 4-0.
We have definitely seen it all. We've seen ITA officials drive off the premise with their scoreboard clickers. We've seen malfunctions. We've seen it all here. But it does not affect the performance on play on the court, so
what a serve that time from Pavel Model. Did you see the speed that one approached Zong at? And he kind of jumped and lunged for it, but there was no possible angle that he could really attack that one from. With serves like that, sometimes the best thing you can do is quickly try to go to the outside and do everything you can with a backhand. But with that much momentum, the best you could do would probably be barely grazing it over the net. And even then, that was probably wishful thinking. Great serve by Pavel Model. This looks like it's going to be for the set. And he just got it. What a way to finish for Pavel Moto here, Matt.
Huge finish there by Pavel Moto. Now pushes that to a 5-0 lead there for MTSU. So again, huge performances out here today by the Blue Raiders, as we saw, Marcel Kimrowski finishing early on, followed by a victory by Shu Matsuoka, and rounding it out with Francisco Rocha also securing that victory there. As we jump dual screen here with our remaining courts, both of them being pushed to third sets. Courts number 2 has Carlos Macedonia Valor playing up against Oscar Brosh Polson there on the left side of your screen. Followed by, on court number 3, Nazar Fedoroshin playing up against Baran Soiler there. So, interesting to see how they're going to keep score for these. Are they going to go the full extended 6 sets? Are we going to see some 10-point tiebreakers? Interesting to see what the coaches have agreed on here.
If I had to guess, I would say 10-point tiebreakers. Of course, we'll get clarification on that in a moment. But as you mentioned, Fedorishin, that's a tongue twister, and Baran Soiler in the midst of their third set, as is Oscar Brostrom Polson and Maturidona. 15-0 right now. It is 1-1, so may decide to play these third sets out, but time will tell.
By the looks of it, it looks like we are having 10-point tiebreakers, unless they were jumping into action quickly here for court number 2. What will be the decisions?
Looks like that one fell a little bit outside for Oscar Brostrom Polson. That does bring it to 30-15. Just couldn't quite get the accuracy on that one. That's why placement and the inches that you have to shoot the ball in become that much more crucial because of it.
So you see Baran Soiler there entering the frame. Has his team, and looks like Coach Callie there along his side. Trying to give some words of encouragement there for the Turkish technician.
Turkish technician indeed. And one thing we haven't really talked a lot about is positioning of the body today. Keep an eye on as you see a wild swing that time from Oscar Brostrom Polson, but body positioning can be so important for these players because that really determines how the ball is going to go, where it's going to go, what kind of speed it's got. Keep an eye on the way these players move. You see the way they put their arms back and forth like that? That is so you can get the maximum amount of power with every single swing. And it is a learned art. It's something that you get over time. It's not learned overnight. These players are using that in a lot of ways, and I think that I've seen Oscar Brostrom Polson use that a lot to his advantage thus far in his matches today, trying to use that again against Maturidona, and having a little bit of trouble with him thus far in this third set. That'll bring it to 2-1, so Oscar Brostrom Polson going to have to battle back from the brink once again.
Looks like we are playing those sets out on the left side of our screen there. So plenty of tennis ahead. But Baran already up 2-0 there on court number 3 on the right side of your screen.
Yeah, so this is pretty interesting. It looks like on the right side they're playing out the 10-point tiebreaker, but on the left side they're going to play out the third set.
Does look like it is a case. Very interesting. See, they're curious, and maybe if we'll see a...
Could see a change here. I see the ITA official coming over to discuss this, and I believe we are probably going to see the 10-point tiebreaker start to be used. So I'm curious how they're going to score that, though, since they've already started the third set.
Interesting. They definitely could see a change of pace here, because, again, you want to have a good balance of getting those reps in, but also not to where your players out completely. So again, with already a 5-0 victory, 5-0 victory secured in favor of the Blue Raiders. If you're Coach Jimmy, you definitely want to see a wrap up here quickly to limit any, cause of injury or, wasting energy and just getting exhaustion here. So curious to see how these play out. So you see a beautiful scoop score there for Soiler there.
How about that? Scooping the ice cream out of the bucket once again, right up and over the net. Beautiful job by Baran. Continues to do what he does, and that is really get those up-close net shots in the perfect spot. It's so hard as a player to go from the back line all the way up to the front. You just don't have enough time to react, and that's exactly what happened to Fedorishin. Just couldn't react fast enough. And when you have that kind of advantage, you have house money to play with, and that's exactly what Baran knew and used right there.
So again, interesting set of circumstances here. So for court number 3, it looks like since start of play was conducted after the 4th point was secured, they're going to play a 10-point tiebreaker. But then court number 2 saw a starting a play pre-4-point clincher. So it looks like we're going to play out the set on court number 2, but then have a 10-point tiebreaker on court number 3.
Does appear that's going to be the case, so that assures that Oscar Bostrom-Polson and Maturi Dona's match is probably going to be the final match of the night. Either way, this will be the final set for both. And you see Baran up 4-2 now in his 10-point tiebreaker against Fedorishin. Has the advantage right now, and he's really targeting those corner shots here in the early going as well as those up-close shots. Look to see how he adapts.
Someone sent to the net there by Federoshin there.
And you saw how Baran moved up there. The Turkish technician really picking Fedorishin apart that time, and he did a fantastic job of finding his way towards the front of the net and really putting the pressure on these shots that Fedorishin just couldn't respond with.
What a beautiful ball there by Baran Soiler there. Just picking apart Federoshin here.
Yeah, that ball got punished like a kid caught stealing from mom's purse that time, right in the corner. Beautiful job from Baran. He just continues to show out. And I mentioned how he was targeting those corner shots. There's a perfect example of that. And it's throwing Fedorishin off. You see Bostrom-Polson now going to be down 3-2. Just hasn't been able to chase down these balls with the same effect that he was earlier, and it is costing him.
But yeah, Oscar Bostrom-Polson again out to a 6-1 lead victory in the first set, and then an absolute dogfight in the second set that he drops in. Now it's down 3-2 in the third set, so Macedonia really putting it, you know, giving Oscar Brashen-Polson, even in a meaningless, you know, this game is not going to affect the outcome, he is still putting on a show and is playing to his absolute hardest ability here.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it might not affect the total outcome for the team, but for these players, it is definitely meaningful because this is about establishing themselves and rewarding themselves with their own play. They really take a lot of pride in being able to perform like this. And for Oscar Brashen-Polson, who had such a fantastic win against Dartmouth earlier today and did a great job, of course, winning the CUSA Athlete of the Week for his performance against Northwestern, this is a big opportunity to test himself in adversity that he really hasn't had as of late. He's been able to get the victories in 2 sets. Now he's trying to have to do it in 3 sets. And, of course, you got to imagine that with the amount of tennis that he's been playing recently, that has to be weighing on him at least just a little bit.
These players are stone-faced when they need to, but they are human. As some plays they seem like robots, but they are humans indeed. So they definitely will feel the pressure of exhaustion that can occur with long stretches of tennis with little to no breaks.
Play this one really aggressively. I think that would be the way to go for this one. You don't want to play not to lose. You want to play to win if you're the Turkish technician, Baran Soyler. Clangs that one off the net. And you see the other members of the men's tennis team for MTSU crowding around that one. Full support for Baran Soyler. See if he can bring Middle Tennessee home this 6th point. That last one was out. This is going to be set point here, Matt.
See the claps there from the boys in blue alongside Baran.
And that's going to do it. Baran clinches it, lets it just go right out. How about it, Matt?
Absolute beautiful performance there by the Turkish technician. And again, we saw just absolutely his teammates right there behind him. It's just, that's what you want to see as a freshman. You come into, you know, a lot of these, you know, guys aren't from, you know, the Murfreesboro area. So new faces they see day in and day out. But having those teammates behind you, having those brothers, that family behind you, definitely makes it a whole lot easier for these newcomers to come in and feel welcome here at ATC. And we definitely saw with Baran Soyler there, his teammates were having his back and the fans were all behind him there. But now all eyes are moving on over to court number 2 with Oscar Brashen-Polson versus Carlos Macedonia Valor here.
As that one just goes to the outside, and at this point, if you're the Lions, you're trying to not go out like lambs against Middle Tennessee right here.
Yeah, if you're UNA here, you definitely don't want to go out. You want to put on a show, unlike the Miami Hurricane football program.
You had to do it. You had to go for the low-hanging fruit. Basketball program will put on a show tonight.
I don't know. I would watch out for Drake there for all of Miami fans out there, but
they're going to get caught with that hotline bling.
We'll leave all the Drake and Miami puns for later on.
Yes,
We'll jump back
back to the action.
Right back into the action here. Oscar Brashen-Polson, Carlos Macedonia here, all knotted up 3-3 apiece here.
really interested to see how Oscar responds to this. It's been a really trying game for him, and he's been tested to a degree that he really hasn't been as of late. Big moment here. Big chase down strike by Maturidona that time. Right up against the net. Beautiful Gronk-esque spike right into the ground. And once you see that spike come up, there's really nothing as a player you can do except watch it come down.
That one sent long there by Matarodonia. Fist pump there from Oscar Brosnan-Polson.
Yeah, he knows that brings it to 40-15, and this one would be massive too. You see Maturidona currently serving. This would be a break for Oscar Brosnan-Polson. Would give him the advantage and the incentive that he needs to clinch this win.
Matarodonia just can't scoop it over as that will.
Yeah, he's like the Wizard of Oz right there. He just makes magic happen for this team. And going back to North Alabama, this is a team that they've got more to look forward to in the future. Next game for them is going to be up against Jacksonville State in an A-Sun matchup. And, of course, coming up against Bellarmine after that last game, that was an A-Sun game as well. So they're really getting into the heat of conference play. And this is when they're really going to be tested against the best that that conference has to offer. And it's interesting the dichotomy between Middle Tennessee and North Alabama, because North Alabama plays a lot more conference matchups, whereas Middle Tennessee is only going to have the one against Rice that they'll play all year before they get into the CUSA tournament. And, of course, we've seen how the UTSA men's team has been able to really develop their own momentum. And I'd say I'm not a prognosticator. I'm not going to make a prediction this early, but if I had to guess as to what could happen, I would not be surprised if we see Middle Tennessee versus UTSA for the CUSA men's tennis championship.
You guys heard it here first, folks. Dylan Simmons predicts UTSA versus Middle Tennessee State University in the championship.
They've been playing with some momentum.
Again, not gambling advice, but if you are a betting person, maybe something you look forward to.
Critical piece of that will be Oscar Brosnan-Polson's play, and just a reminder, he is number 99 in the ITA singles rankings and has a lot to prove also with getting a win here. Helps to hold up that ranking even more.
But as we mentioned, again, CUSA does not see a lot of inter-conference play between majority of the schools. As with the standings, MTSU, again, like you just stated, one game all season long against Rice, in which they did win, followed by UTSA also only having one conference win. Florida Atlantic also having one conference win, and UAB and Charlotte have no in-conference games played.
Yeah, and you look at UTSA, currently 13-4 overall with their records, so they actually have a better record than MTSU, generally speaking. Now, I'm not going to stack up their resume to MTSU's, but I do think that they're going to provide a significant challenge for this Blue Raider team. And remember, UTSA, this is their last year in Conference USA, so this is their last possible year to win a CUSA men's tennis championship. That gives them all the more incentive to go out and claim a victory. And on the reverse side of the coin for Middle Tennessee, that's another reason for them not to win the championship if you're the Roadrunners, because you don't want them to go away with the title as they head to the American next year.
Absolutely. It seems as UTSA has been a kind of a thorn in the side for all Blue Raiders athletics, as we've seen across, with football, we saw women's basketball also enduring a tough road trip before their March Madness and CUSA tournament took place when they played UTSA and UTEP. So interesting to see there. Will the Roadrunners be the Achilles heel to Blue Raiders athletics, or will men's tennis change the tides when it comes to Blue Raiders and Roadrunner matchups?
Yeah, you talk about that narrative, and it's really, as you mentioned, it expands to many different sports. You also have to look at football for MTSU. Lost to UTSA the week after that win against Miami. That was the night they retired Kevin Byard's jersey too, Matt. So there's a lot of extra enthusiasm for this Middle Tennessee team to take down UTSA in a big-time matchup. But another thing to consider, it's going to be in Houston, Texas. That's where the matchups are going to be located at. So for Middle Tennessee, they're not going to have the home court advantage. Instead, Rice is going to be hosting the tournament. But for UTSA, they'll even be a little bit closer. And for all the Texas teams, that makes it so much easier. So Middle Tennessee will have to make sure to adapt.
The thing that Middle Tennessee does have going for them, though, is not one, but two back-to-back Conference USA championships.
3 back-to-back championships.
I've lost count. I mean,
you lose count.
You lose count, but, you know, there's one thing in common with all those Conference USA championships. Coach Jimmy Borndame has been the head coach of all those teams. So if you're MTSU, you got the right man at the helm to coach a team to some conference championships here.
And that's exactly what Coach Jimmy is going to look to do. He knows what it takes to win a championship. From Polson trying to contribute to that right there.
Absolutely, indeed. Oscar Brasher-Polson now up 5-3 in this third set. 15 love here. Yeah, MTSU trying to show why they are just better than Conference USA champs. Fighting for that title of best tennis team in Tennessee and more. Another one sent to the net there by Maradona there. So that will send it now 30 love in favor of Oscar Brasher-Polson.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Raiders also have a lot to prove, not just in Conference USA, but Tennessee as a whole. They're trying to prove that they're Middle Tennessee, and they want to show the best of their ability. Of course, the Vols themselves, those guys up in Knoxville, have a pretty good tennis program of their own, but Middle Tennessee trying to show they're the class of the state. And that would be a heck of a showdown. Maybe one day we'll get it here in Murfreesboro, but for Oscar Brasher-Polson, it's about finishing this one off against Maturidona. He's going to look to do that soon. If you're Maturidona, the last thing you want here is a double fault to give Oscar Brasher-Polson an even bigger advantage than what he already has. But I think that OBP wants to close this out on his own terms in his own way.
That one sent to the net there by Brasher-Polson. Pushes now 15-30.
Go Ozzy!
That one sent long there, but Maradona pushes it now 15-40. Oscar Brasher-Polson now one ball away in his favor to secure another victory against North Alabama.
You hear those claps beginning to go from the crowd. This is the final moment of the final countdown.
And that ball sent to the net there by Maradona will conclude the action here on court number 2, falling in favor of Oscar Brasher-Polson. And as you can hear, the MTSU fight song plays on throughout the cathedral as Middle Tennessee State University has clinched a 7-0 victory over North Alabama. what a performance there in the second half of the doubleheader there for the Blue Raiders there, Mr. Simmons.
Yeah, really just a fantastic performance from all sides from Middle Tennessee. They came out with a purpose and an incentive, and that was to win and get it done in an efficient and very efficient manner, and that's exactly what they've been able to do against North Alabama. Great job against this Lions team, and for the second straight year, they pick up a 7-0 victory, and they move their all-time record to 8-0 against the Lions. So great job by Middle Tennessee, both against Dartmouth and now against North Alabama.
Absolutely huge victory there. So now we'll wrap it up again. Middle Tennessee State University clinching a 7-0 victory over North Alabama Lions. After a quick break, we'll have coach's interview and player of the game. You can catch it all here on the MTN Sports YouTube channel and CUSA TV. We'll catch you right after the break.
Mental health affects us all, whether you finish first or last.
Whether you win or lose.
The stigma around these issues causes those around us to suffer in silence.
Mental health is nothing to be ashamed of.
You are not alone.
You are not alone. As a student athlete,
As a teammate,
As a friend,
We pledge to continue the conversation.
because it matters.
Because you matter.
stand up to the stigma.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Continue the conversation.
You are not alone.
I have a voice.
You have a voice.
We have a voice.
Our voices can be heard.
Outside of sports.
As student athletes, we have a platform.
Now more than ever.
It's important that we listen, learn, and lead, and raise our voices for change.
We can all do more.
Now is the time
To make a difference.
This is our chance.
This is our chance to make a better tomorrow.
Together,
we will continue the conversation.
we have a voice.
On June 23, 1972, Title IX was signed into law, and it reads, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity, receiving federal financial assistance." Happy 50th anniversary, Title IX. Thank you for giving little girls like me and big kids like Conference USA student athletes the opportunity to dream big.